Hi everyone and welcome to Bonnie Astrology. Today I'm going to be discussing the partial solar eclipse in Virgo, which is happening on the 21st of September 2025, and what it means for your zodiac sign. As always, if you do enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up to let me know that you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already for regular astrology content from me. And if you want to follow me on any of my socials like Instagram or visit my website, they're all listed in the description box below. So this eclipse is happening on the 21st of September 2025, and as we know, eclipses come in pairs. Now, the first eclipse was that total lunar eclipse in Pisces, which happened on the 7th of September. And I did touch on that in my September horoscopes video. I didn't put up a video on that one specifically because, surprise, surprise, the eclipse was quite near my ascendant and I got sick. I got the flu. And if you're interested in the Pisces themes of that flu, for me, I had hallucinations. So it felt very on point. And while it wasn't pleasant, whenever something really follows the themes of astrology, it still tickles me, even though it was not a good experience. So I apologize for not having the video up, but you might have noticed in the September horoscope that I was already getting sick. It got worse. So for all of us collectively, Pisces energy would have been a very prevalent theme in our lives. You might have noticed it coming up in the media. We might have noticed it in the people around us. And Pisces is the final sign of the zodiac. So Pisces rules the 12th house. And as the final sign of the zodiac, Pisces can often bring up themes surrounding grief, surrounding loss, surrounding endings. And you may have noticed that on the news, you may have felt that collectively, or you may have noticed that in the people around you. Someone was experiencing loss. And it didn't have to be immediate, it didn't have to be something that happened in the days previous, the weeks previous, the months, or even the years previous. It could have been long-standing. Pisces rules the subconscious and what we bury and what emotions we haven't felt yet. Maybe we never had the chance to, or maybe we never had the strength to look at them. Pisces oftentimes brings up that energy. So you might have noticed a lot of feelings about the past coming up, suppressed feelings coming up. You may have felt very connected to your subconscious. That might have manifested in your dream state. Weird dreams, bizarre nightmares, sleep disturbances, very Pisces. But it may also have brought up conversations about mental health and also about spirituality. Pisces is associated with spirituality. And with Saturn having returned to Pisces early September, this theme was more pronounced. Now, with Saturn retrograde being opposite this eclipse, we can see how there's a need for balance between the Virgo and Pisces parts of our chart, but also the energy generally. So we would be feeling that anyway, because eclipses come in pairs, and when they're in opposite signs as they are now, it is requiring this need for balance of that energy in our own life. And Virgo, with the solar eclipse being there, Virgo is more about our practical day-to-day reality. It's about our habits, our routines, our health, our wellness. It's more to do with physical wellness, whereas Pisces is more to do with emotional, spiritual, mental wellness. And it is where we take practical steps to make something a reality, and Pisces energy is where we dream it. And so you might feel with this solar eclipse that on the basis of that emotional catharsis, or on the back of that emotional catharsis, or those feelings that came up, or those emotional realizations that occurred, or those endings that occurred, you're now looking to something practical that you can do with the solar eclipse in Virgo. So lunar eclipses tend to be when one door closes or a significant milestone occurs. And solar eclipses is where a door opens and the seeds of a new beginning are planted. So how can that look in the sign of Virgo? You might notice more and more people around you are very preoccupied with their health and their routines as well as their work. So you might notice more and more people around you are joining a gym, signing up with a personal trainer, starting a diet plan, meal prepping, deep cleaning, organizing, starting a new job, starting a new role, starting a new project. A lot of these things can come up with a solar eclipse in Virgo. Now, what I actually really like about the solar eclipse is that the dispositor Mercury is in the sign of Libra. So if you're looking to implement something new when it comes to your health or your job, or you're beginning something new in these types of areas, it's collaborative. You may meet important people. You may meet important business partners or start important business collaborations, or you might meet a partner, or you might meet a potential partner, or you may get a great client, or you may get someone who can provide a wonderful service to you. If you're in the health and fitness industry, if you're someone who's known for being a personal trainer or something like that, put your work out there more than you usually do, because there's more and more people looking for your services, but there's more and more people who want to collaborate, want to work one-on-one with somebody. You know, Mercury in Libra is about collaboration. It's about compromise. It's about balance. It's about connection. It's about seeing both perspectives and understanding both sides. The downside of it is that it can be incredibly indecisive and sometimes can not say certain things in order to keep the peace. But it's certainly looking for balance. It's certainly looking for negotiation and compromise in the sign of Libra. And if you are beginning something new at this time, that should be how it's communicated, but it should also be, you know, something that you connect or collaborate with someone else on. You have a mentor of some kind, you have a client, you have a business partner, you have a relationship that you're working on, a new project with them where you're feeling supported, you're feeling connected to or by another person. So this solar eclipse does tend to bring a lot of focus on health and well-being. As I said before, solar eclipses tend to be about a door opening. And what's particularly interesting and unique about this eclipse is that it is actually the second of two new moons in the one sign. So a solar eclipse is a new moon on steroids. And we already had a new moon in Virgo on the 23rd of August, and now we're having a solar eclipse in that sign on the 21st of September, which adds this emphasis on new beginnings, new doors opening, new starts, new chapters, new characters, new storylines, especially in the Virgo part of your chart, but also generally for us collectively when it comes to health, when it comes to work. And so with this solar eclipse, it emphasizes this new start, this new chapter. And eclipses can bring in very fated people, they can bring in very fated jobs, fated events, fated connections, all sorts of significant chapters, some of them good, some of them not so good, but all of them destined in some way. And with it being in the final degree, though, of Virgo, and it being a South Node eclipse, there is an element of the past, and there is also an element of wrapping up a chapter too. So while there may be a new beginning present for each of us and for us collectively with the solar eclipse in Virgo, it does feel as if there is something connected to the past. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a job, maybe it is a connection, maybe it is someone you worked with before, whatever the case may be. It can actually also just be something that you intuitively feel is familiar. So with the South Node, it can be a past life. That could be that you start a brand new job and you feel this sense of, you know, it really resonates, it really clicks, and that might have been because you did it before in a past life. If you believe in past lives, you meet a person and they feel really familiar, but you know you haven't actually crossed paths in this lifetime before. They're a past life person. That's the sort of energy that can come in with the South Node being here. Now, this eclipse is in an opposition to Saturn in Pisces. And I mentioned Saturn before, Saturn being in Pisces yet again. Saturn returned to Pisces on September 1st via retrograde. So we're covering old ground here with Pisces. Saturn entered Pisces first in 2023. And we're now in that part of the Saturn and Pisces cycle, the final chapter, where we are integrating the lessons, where we are hopefully learning from the lessons. We have better boundaries, we have better understanding of our responsibilities, of the consequences of our actions. And with Saturn retrograde in this sector, you're covering old ground in the work that you've done, and you may be rewarded for it. Or with the Pisces energy, if you have been escaping something, you may meet the consequences of that. It's very different for everybody, and it depends with Saturn on the work and the commitment that you have. Saturn retrograde in Pisces is very focused on spiritual boundaries and having better boundaries in place energetically. So with this solar eclipse in Virgo, this might be a time when you are wanting to start a new health routine. Maybe you're starting a new job, maybe you're starting a new routine in your life more generally. And the opposition to Saturn is saying, okay, well, how are you going to protect your energy doing this? How are you going to protect your mental health? How are you going to make sure you get enough sleep? How are you going to make sure you get enough rest? These are different things coming up with this solar eclipse in Virgo. And I will also say with the opposition to Saturn in Pisces, if you're feeling in eclipse season that something didn't quite go the way that you wanted it to, sometimes with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, especially opposite the solar eclipse in Virgo, sometimes rejection is divine redirection. And sometimes also rejection is God's protection, whichever one of those you want to take. Sometimes these things can come about in eclipse season to align us with the correct path or align us with the next chapter in our lives as well. So that may be something that resonates with you, it may not be. But it may also be just an energy of rejection with Saturn retrograde in Pisces, where you sort of don't go for something because you reject yourself first. You know, say you really want a particular job, but you think, I don't know that I'm good enough at this, or I don't know that I've put in enough effort to deserve this. You won't know if you won't try. And if you do get rejected from it, you learn from it. And it doesn't mean that you can't ever go for it again. But you might feel with Saturn opposite, Saturn retrograde in Pisces opposite the solar eclipse, you might actually have a sense of looking back at where you rejected yourself first before you went for something, or you rejected yourself first so that you didn't try. That may be something that resonates for you. And if it does, just be mindful that a lot of the new beginnings that happen at the solar eclipse can be very divinely orchestrated, and they may be putting you in a certain direction for a reason. You know, say you do get the job that you really want, but you feel conflicted because it's unfamiliar, and you, or rather than unfamiliar, I wouldn't use the word unfamiliar actually with the South Node there. Maybe it's just something that is out of your comfort zone rather, and you're scared of it. Or say, for example, you've lost a job and now you're feeling as though there's something wrong with you, or that you can't change things, whereas you can change things. Saturn is about consequence, yes. So if you maybe feel like you weren't doing something right, this is the time to say, okay, I admit I wasn't doing that right. I'm going to do it right going forward. That can be something that's coming up for you with this solar eclipse as well. Virgo energy is very focused on the work that we do, the services that we provide to others, and also the way that we take care of our health and our well-being. And you could live the healthiest lifestyle known to man, but if you're beating yourself up mentally, if you're lacking a spiritual connection of any kind, if you're suppressing your emotions, it will manifest physically. And that's the opposition to Saturn in Pisces. At the time of this eclipse also, Venus is in a square to Uranus, meaning that there's a little bit of unpredictability when it comes to relationships. It's giving a little bit of the sense that there might be a bit of nitpicking and unpredictability with what comes up in conversations with others. Uranus is in Gemini, so it wants to express itself and its ideas, even if they seem a bit wacky. And Venus in Virgo is very focused on the detail and can be quite critical. So you might notice in relationships that there's maybe some disruptions when it comes to what someone is saying and what you think they should be saying, or how they're saying it, with Venus square Uranus or vice versa. Mars is also going to be at 29 degrees, so a critical degree. If you think about this eclipse, there's a lot of critical energy going on. And with the solar eclipse being in Virgo, I feel as though there may be, you know, not necessarily on an exceptionally wide scale, but there could be some sort of health crisis does come up at this time. And by crisis, I mean the need to act. When we have planets at the final degree of a sign, it is the word crisis, but oftentimes that's more of a need to act now. It's like, I need to fix this now. I need to do something now. And so with this eclipse in Virgo, it can be collectively, and there's this need people are feeling to take better care of their health, their well-being. It can be this collective need to have a spiritual connection, this collective need to have better boundaries in place energetically from what's going on around you, protecting your energy. With Mars at 29 degrees, that can be quite aggressive. It can be quite, in its lower vibration, violent and aggressive. At its higher vibration, very determined to debate with Libra. I see Mars and Libra come up a lot in the charts of people that do law, study law, that become lawyers. And I also see it in the charts of people who really do quite like to debate and debate their side. Mars at 29 degrees, though, can bring quite an irritating energy. Mars changes signs every 2 months, so it's something that we do experience quite frequently, but it's just at the time of this eclipse, you might feel as though you're a little bit more irritable, a little bit more energetically irritated, and just be mindful of that with Mars at 29 degrees of Libra, because sometimes that can be where people let anger get the best of them. And at other times it can when someone feels the courage to debate something that's important to them with someone else. And I think with Mercury being the dispositor of this eclipse, there is this, back and forth with people in relationships, and Mercury in Libra encourages seeing both sides of an argument if you are having a debate or discourse with someone in your life. So as always, I'm going to pull a tarot card for this solar eclipse. These tarot cards do have the meaning front and back, so I can't look at them while I'm shuffling. So in case you wonder why I'm looking at the ceiling, and no, I can't see them. I don't have a mirror on the ceiling. I'm not Peter Stringfellow. I just don't want to see what it is that I'm picking until I've picked it. So Not to be too picky, not to be too Virgo-y, paying attention to detail here. So the solar eclipse in Virgo, what it means for us collectively. Ooh, the King of Swords. Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie, I think this boy has haunted the tarot pulls for my videos this year. I'm pretty sure the King of Swords has come up quite a bit. It tends to represent air sign people, so Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, men in particular with King of Swords. This can be leaders who are prominent at this time. I think, to my knowledge, a lot of the world leaders that we have at the moment are air signs, so I couldn't possibly pick one. But the King of Swords is mind over matter, and it's more regimented than, say, for example, Pisces energy, which is intuitive and emotional and feeling. The King of Swords is more about rational thinking. It's more about being precise. It's more about being logical. It's more about using your mind, using your logic to make decisions. And the dispositor of this eclipse, it is Mercury in Libra. So for a lot of people, maybe these new beginnings have some sort of legal consequence with them, with Mercury being in Libra and Libra being a legal sign. It could be that there are new laws coming into place that affect our work, that affect our healthcare, that affect our daily routines, potentially. And it's also interesting because there is a grand air trine at this time with Mercury, Pluto, and Uranus. So, mind over matter is not bad advice. Using your mind to get what you need, having insights come in mentally, great ideas that you might want to act on under this eclipse. Great ideas, great way of thinking, finally getting the memo, finally getting the message of what it is that you've been struggling to understand. It's a great time for dedicating time in your day and your routines to study. Great time to dedicate to thinking for yourself as well. You know, so the King of Swords is the card of this solar eclipse in Virgo. At the bottom of the deck, we actually have the Queen of Wands on one side and we have the Hermit on the other. Hermit would be Virgo energy. Queen of Wands would be fire sign energy. And I think that's sort of indicative with the court cards coming up of where you can receive help from another person, another individual, connecting with someone rather than with the hermit energy doing everything alone. Virgo is the hermit energy for a reason, even though Pisces is the sign that rules the 12th house, which is where we do things in isolation. Virgo people can choose to engage, or even involuntarily actually, spend long periods in solitude, spend long periods of time alone. This eclipse is more so encouraging of collaboration and connection with someone else. So that is what I have for this solar eclipse in Virgo. Hope you all have a good one. Timestamps are listed below for the horoscopes, and I will talk to you soon. Bye. Hi Aries, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. Aries, this eclipse is bringing in a new beginning that will take place over the next 6 months. So you might not notice the events manifesting immediately, but it isn't uncommon to notice them occurring in the 2 weeks after the eclipse. But the storyline is 6 months long. So over the next 6 months, we have a new chapter happening for you in your 6th house. So there's many ways that this can manifest. It's worth noting at this time that your ruler Mars is at 29 degrees. So you're feeling this desire to change things, to take action. You may feel a sense of urgency. Mars is not so comfortable in Libra though, so you might not notice yourself getting your energy back until Mars moves into Scorpio in the following days of the eclipse, and you will feel a lot more empowered, both emotionally and psychologically, but also physically, with Mars being in domicile. So this eclipse, it's happening in your 6th house. So over the next 6 months, we might see this new chapter beginning for you when it comes to your work. So your job, the services that you provide. You might be rolling out something new that you offer as part of your job. You might be taking on a new role. You might be taking on a new responsibility. And this may be something you're working on with somebody else because of Mercury being in Libra. So you could be collaborating with someone work-wise on a new project, a new service, a new job. There could be a business partner involved in this. There could be a very significant working connection or working relationship. And this is something that requires good boundaries for you, Aries, especially energetically. So what I mean by that is with Saturn retrograde back in your 12th house, you've really been learning to have better spiritual and mental health boundaries, knowing where you need rest, knowing where you need alone time, time to process your feelings, time to process the events of the day. And you're going to need to balance that with your working role, your working responsibilities going forward. And hopefully this Mercury and Libra person that you collaborate with understands your need for boundaries and understands your need for alone time, or need time to rest, or need time to go to the therapist. Maybe you have to go see a therapist during your workday to work through something. Someone who can support you as you're working on things from a mental health perspective, or you're working through grief, or you're working through addiction or self-sabotaging behaviors. You need to have good energetic and spiritual boundaries in place going forward, especially when it comes to these job changes or role changes, knowing when to say no. And it can also be for some of you that this is health related, especially with Mars, your ruler, being at 29 degrees. You might feel like you need to change something when it comes to your health and your fitness and your well-being. So some of you, that's joining a gym. For some of you, it's taking up a new sport, exercise, changing your diet. It's not uncommon for people to change their diets quite drastically when there are eclipses in the 6th house, or for them to be more interested in different sports or ways of working out. And it feels like if you do, Aries, you have a buddy doing this with you, or you meet someone through doing these things, or you're collaborating with someone to reach these goals. So maybe you get a personal trainer, maybe you get a nutritionalist, a dietitian, someone who's helping you reach these goals. And I think with your ruler being at 29 degrees at the time of this eclipse, you're really saying, okay, maybe there's something going on with your health that you don't like. Maybe something has shocked you or scared you, and you think, I really need to make changes here. I really need to get this together. And so you're following this new plan, this new routine, or you're bringing in help to assist you with this. Or as I say, if it's a new chapter with your job, I really feel like there's another person there helping you with it, or collaborating with you with it and connecting with you. And no matter how well-intentioned they are, Aries, they could be the most well-intentioned person in the world. They don't know your needs. So, you setting up boundaries is on you. In this situation with Saturn going through the 12th house, you saying, hey, I need to change my hours to accommodate this, or I don't think I can take all the morning shifts anymore, it's affecting my sleep, that kind of thing, looking, and maybe that's why you're bringing somebody new in, because you need a bit more balance between the work that you do and your downtime. But it feels like a new chapter for you that's very health oriented, Aries, and this could be a time when you get really fit. This could be a time when you get really in shape. This could be a time when you really feel better. And as I say, I think when Mars moves into Scorpio, energetically, you'll be in a much better place. Your tarot card is the Ace of Wands, which is about a new spark, a new desire, energy engagement. So I feel like for a lot of you with this solar eclipse, Aries, maybe you're taking up a new sport that you really love, a new hobby that you really love, that gets you fit, that makes you feel healthier. Or it could also be for some of you, maybe this is a new gym crush or new work crush coming into the periphery with that connection between the 6th and 7th. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Taurus, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. Taurus, this eclipse is happening in your 5th house. Now the 5th house is the creative house in the birth chart, and this is where you get creative. This is where you feel creative, you feel inspired, you feel passionate, you feel the joy of something new. Now this solar eclipse happening here could bring in new love for some of you, a new romantic interest. It could bring you back into the world of dating. And if you do meet someone around this time romantically, this could be someone that you've known before, or it could be someone that you've known in a past life. They feel familiar. Or you're reconnecting with someone from the past. You might meet this person at the gym, or you might meet them at work, or you might meet them running errands or doing something in your daily routine as well, because Mercury's in the 6th. For some of you, this is about children, so it could be a pregnancy, it could be a birth at this time, and if it is, you're likely very concerned about your health and well-being, so very focused on what you're eating, very focused on the products that you're using, with Mercury being in the 6th house as well. Your mind is on your health at this time, your mind is on your routines, your mind is on your job, your mind is on your wellness more generally, Taurus. So whether it's new love or whether it's, a baby, you feel very focused on your health and well-being. That's sort of the subcontext of this. But it could certainly be the pregnancy or the birth of a child that is occurring at the time of this solar eclipse, or that might be something that's happening over the next 6 months. And you may be interested to know, but if you are having a baby, this is definitely a past life connection, with the South Node being in the 5th house. Now, this could also be something creative that you're working on, and if it's creative, this could be something that, yes, you've maybe thought about before or worked on before, but it's something that you really want to bring into your day-to-day reality, I think, Taurus. You want to bring more passion, more love, more creativity, more happiness, more joy into your day-to-day experience. Now, with whatever new thing is occurring, there is a need for boundaries and there's a need for balance. Saturn is in Pisces in your 11th house, so it's getting you to be very realistic about the future, your vision for the future, your ideals. It's also bringing up boundaries in friendships and groups and teams, and, you know, either strengthening commitments there or even distancing yourself there. You know, you might distance yourself from a certain group of people because all they do is drink and party and you're becoming a mother. You know, it might be something like that, or it could be that you're having to cut back a little bit socially because you are becoming a parent, or maybe you just find that you don't necessarily feel the need for group approval when it comes to you reuniting with a romance from your past or something like that. You know, just there's different examples, not necessarily exacting in what this will be, but they can give you an idea of how it plays out. I do feel for a lot of you, Taurus, with your ruling planet Venus and a square to Uranus at this time, you may be feeling a little bit erratic, or you may be feeling a little bit on edge, or maybe a little bit anxious as well. Your tarot card is the Lovers, and this is beautiful because the 5th house is about love. So I feel like for a lot of you, there could be new romance, or there could be a resurgence of romance in an existing relationship, or your heart could just be opening because of a baby, or because of a creative project, or because of a something that you really love, something that you just feel the energy of love. You're connecting with the energy of love more and more over the next 6 months, doing what you love, bringing love into situations that are mundane. Even Taurus, it could be something that's a big theme for you over the next 6 months. That's what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Gemini, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. Gemini, this is happening in your 4th house, and that is the house. This is the house of home, the house of family, the house of your living situation. So over the next 6 months, there could be some changes. Solar eclipses tend to bring about new beginnings, so new chapters. Now, for one Gemini rising, that could be moving, that could be buying, that could be selling property. For another Gemini rising, that could be renovations, redecorating, refurnishing the home. It can also bring about changes within your family unit. Significant changes, you know, life events, maybe your grown kids are getting married, or you're becoming a grandparent, or your kids are flying the nest, or you're starting a family, whatever the case may be, Gemini. There's a big focus on your living environment and your family. The ruler of this eclipse is Mercury in your 5th house. So for many of you, this could definitely surround the children in the home, or your children, or the concept of children. If it's nothing to do with children, you know, it's not to do with children moving or buying or selling property with children involved. It could be that it's the energy of creativity, wanting to make your home a more creative space, wanting to make your home somewhere where you can do things you enjoy. You know, you might be bringing in a room for recreation. You might be building a bar. You might be building a games room, decorating a games room, making a playroom, or something like that. You're wanting to bring the energy of fun and creativity into your home, maybe an art studio into your home as well, or you're wanting things to look more balanced. Maybe you're wanting to balance the energy of the home, or you're wanting to find more balance and harmony within the home, and this is the beginning of that cycle. I do think with the opposition to Saturn in your 10th house, you could be feeling the pressures of work, or the responsibilities of work or career, or also just feeling perhaps, you know, if you've put yourself with Saturn there, maybe distance yourself from work or your professional life. Maybe you're feeling that it's tipping your balance between your public life and your private life, and you're focusing very much on, with this eclipse, getting your home right, getting your foundations right. Some of you might also be looking into your lineage, or looking into your ancestry, or looking into you might be getting your family tree done or something at that with the solar eclipse, because the South Node is there. There's a curiousness about the past. There's a curiousness about history, about ancestry, about lineage, Gemini. So you could be looking backwards when it comes to your home and your family. There could have been endings with your home and your family. That could have been maybe someone left the family, or it could have been that there was an ending with a property or something of that nature as well. But I do think with this eclipse, it seems to spell out this period of new beginnings, new chapters within the home, within property. So whether it is that you're buying or you're moving or you're decorating, this eclipse is definitely triggering a new event within the home, a new chapter within the home. The opposition to Saturn is about having good boundaries in place when it comes to your public-private life balance, having boundaries at work, having boundaries in your career, but also honouring your responsibilities there, and honouring, I can't talk today, I don't know why, honouring your responsibilities when it comes to your home and your family and keeping those in balance. Your tarot card, Gemini, is the moon, which is interesting because it is a new moon, but you might be feeling a degree of uncertainty, or you may feel as though, you know, a solar eclipse rocking the fourth house, that's our foundation, right? So you might feel like something in your life has become unstable. You might feel like your foundations aren't entirely stable. You might feel a bit of uncertainty about the future. You might be feeling a bit confused. Your dreams could be weird, for sure. But I do think for a lot of you Gemini risings, it's not allowing your anxiety to get the best of you. You know, you're part of this grand trine conversation. Uranus is in your sign in a grand trine with Pluto and Mercury, your ruling planet. So try and go with logic and reason at this time. Try and, you know, focus on the practical and the logical and what you can do rather than focusing on the uncertain bit. Focus on the bit that you're certain of, you're certain you can do, and you're certain you can do right now. Focus on that energy if you're feeling a bit anxious or a bit confused about the changes that are coming on or coming in. That's what I have for you, Gemini, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Cancer, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. So Cancer, this eclipse is kicking off a 6-month cycle. And it's happening in the third house. And the reason I emphasize that is because it's actually quite hard to say. 6-month cycle in your third house. Now, the third house is quite broad, admittedly, so I'm going to try and break this down the best that I can. This is a new chapter for a lot of you when it comes to your technology. So this could be a new phone, this could be a new laptop, this could be a new sound system, a new camera, a new television. I feel like for a lot of you, it's something that you use within the home because the dispositor Mercury is in the fourth house. So maybe getting a new sound system for your home, new gadgets for your home, new technology for your home, upgrading it in some way, shape or form. Or it can also be that you are getting a new vehicle, maybe for your family, a new car, for example, a new bicycle, whatever the case may be. Cancer, you're getting a new vehicle for your home and your family, possibly, or just generally. You could be getting a new car over the next 6 months. This can also be a new chapter when it comes to your siblings. You know, with Mercury being in your sector of family and this eclipse happening in your sector of siblings, there could be a significant new chapter in the life of a sibling. Now, you might need to have good boundaries with this person. You might need to have some distance with this person, or you might be experiencing that. One of you could live at a distance from the other, or you might just need to put a bit of distance between you and a sibling at this time for whatever reason, or it's put there for whatever reason, or it's just simply you need to have good boundaries with whatever is going on in their life. This can also be boundaries that you need to have with a cousin, or boundaries that you need to have with a neighbor. That can be something that's happening as well. There can be fated events happening with any of these people in your life as well, Cancer. And I feel like with Saturn in opposition, it's important to have those boundaries and it's important to know where the lines are. But a solar eclipse in the third house can also be about learning. And with Saturn there in the ninth house, it sort of emphasizes this point. You might be taking short courses or workshops now that are part of a bigger picture. You know, say for example you're taking extra courses or extra classes because you want to get into university. You might have a bigger, loftier goal in mind, or it could even be a spiritual goal. But if you're feeling really called, Cancer, to go to a workshop, to go to a class, or someone invites you, it can be something that's actually quite significant in your life story because it's an eclipse. So I noticed when I had eclipses in the third house that there were a lot of workshops and there were a lot of classes that I took, you know, just in my free time because I felt called to go, and I met some very important people, but I also learned some very important lessons from those classes that I've taken forward. And even some of those classes I got Reiki attunements and became a Reiki practitioner, you know, things like that you could be experiencing where these classes, these workshops, they mean something to you, or this schooling experience, it means something to you. And with Saturn in Pisces in your ninth, you have a grander vision. You know, maybe you're taking language courses so you can travel to a country or relocate to a country, or maybe you're taking those courses, as I say, to get into university. Whatever the case may be, if you feel called to learn something or study something, Cancer, this is probably quite an important eclipse for you. Your tarot card is the Two of Pentacles, which is about a balancing act. So I feel like with an eclipse in the third house, things could be busy. There could be a lot of people messaging you, emailing you. There could be a lot of errands to run, a lot of jobs to do. There could be a lot going on in your life that requires you to make quick decisions, to prioritize, and to juggle a lot of things at once. That is what I have for you, Cancer, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Leo, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. Leo, this eclipse is happening in your second house, and it's really impacting you because you are ruled by the sun. So when we have a solar eclipse, this can really hit your energy. So you might be feeling a bit energetically low, or on the other hand, you could actually be feeling a bit energetically overloaded. But just remember to take care of yourself during this time. Now, this eclipse is happening in your second house, so this can usher in a new chapter over the next 6 months when it comes to your finances. How you make money could change. Your relationship to money could change. For some of you, this could be a new way of making money. I could see for a lot of you that it might be internet based. The reason I say that is because Mercury, the dispositor, is in your third house, and that can be very focused in social media, communication, the internet, phones, laptops, gadgets. You could be making money in this domain. It could be a new source of income for you. You could maybe be selling and buying things online. It can also be that there's just a new job in place for you, Leo, and maybe with Mercury being there, you're learning more about money, you're more interested in money, you're more interested in the financial system, and perhaps you're just learning better habits when it comes to your finances. Maybe there's someone teaching you about money or teaching you more about good financial habits. For others of you, this can just be that you're buying something new. There's something that you're purchasing at this time that is very significant to you. It's going to help you with communication, or it's going to help you with learning. It's going to help you with your work on the internet if you work on the internet. Whatever the case may be, financially speaking, Leo, you're looking for good boundaries here. Saturn is in opposition to this solar eclipse, so you're wanting a new start financially, but it's going to require discipline, and it's going to require hard work and boundaries. Coming in from Saturn in your 8th house, this can be sometimes where you have these joint financial relationships that are requiring a lot of effort on your part, or a lot of commitment on your part. So that can be, you know, mortgages, loans, that type of thing that you're looking to pay off. With Saturn retrograde here, with Saturn retrograde in this sector, you're sort of going over old habits and old commitments and old priorities when it comes to your joint finances, and sort of with the retrograde integrating those lessons that you've learned about connecting with others financially, or connecting with organizations financially, you know, banks and things like that. And this solar eclipse is a new chapter where I feel like you want to have a healthier relationship with money, or healthier relationship with possessions. You know, for some of you, maybe this Saturn being in the 8th, being so psychological, this could be the psychological association with possessions. You know, maybe you have to clear out stuff that had sentimental value at one point, but you realize energetically it's holding you down. That can be something that changes as well. Your tarot card, Leo, is the Magician. So you are the Magician, which I really love for you because it's very mercurial. Mercury's the dispositor. You're a master manifester at this time, and I think that you might be manifesting more disposable income, an increase in income, manifesting more sales perhaps. It feels as though you're very focused on what you can do rather than what you can't do, and what you can make happen, and using your unique talents and resources to make something happen. You have everything that you need for a new job or a new source of income, or to have a better relationship with money. I feel you are very inspired, and if you're not feeling this now, I think you'll feel it over the next 6 months. You know, the South Node going through the second house, you're clearing away bad financial habits, and you are reconnecting with your talents when it comes to taking care of yourself, particularly financially. It's not all about finances. The second house can also be about confidence and self-confidence. But I feel with the Magician, you have that confidence. Maybe this is a new chapter for you in building it, Leo. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Virgo, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in your sign. So Virgo, this is a very important eclipse for you. It is a cosmic reset. Now, this is happening in your first house. The first house is your physical body. So for some of you, there could be something coming up for you health-wise at this time. When we have eclipses in the first house, it can coincide with fluctuations in our energy levels, and sometimes around an eclipse in our sign we can be a bit under the weather. But that might be inspiring this new beginning for you in terms of how you take care of yourself, or you might just simply be feeling like you do want to take better care of yourself, not because of anything that's happening to you, just because you feel it is time. So I think this has major glow up energy for a lot of you because Venus is in your sign as well at the time of this eclipse. A lot of you are going to, over the next 6 months, go through some sort of aesthetic change. So that could be changing your hair, your makeup, the way that you dress yourself, style yourself. Your physical body could be changing for some reason, whether that is because you are making those changes yourself or just it's happening naturally. Solar eclipses in the first house do tend to bring about a new beginning in the way one presents themselves. So the way that you dress could change quite a bit. And with Mercury being in Libra, which is a sign associated with beauty, I feel like a lot of you, and especially because it's in the second house, a lot of you are wanting to style yourself with more confidence. I feel you're wanting to make changes from a place of self-empowerment and self-confidence rather than making them because you don't, rather than making them from a place of insecurity. I think you're feeling more empowered to make changes from a place of security, of confidence, with Mercury being in the second house and being in a grand trine. You're wanting to think better about yourself, and it's showing on your physical self. So for a lot of you, there could absolutely be physical changes going on, style changes, that type of thing. Your identity could also be changing, Virgo. So for some of you, the way that you're known or the way that you present yourself changes in some way, shape, or form. There's many different ways that can be. It can be changes in, eclipses, when you have them in angular houses, they affect everything. So changes in job, changes in marital status, changes in whatever. It's you could be changing in some way, shape, or form over the next 6 months, significantly, Virgo. And I also feel like you want to be kinder to yourself with Mercury and Libra. I think you want to talk to yourself in a way that's nicer. And I think you want to think from a more positive mindset. I do feel that you may need to, with Saturn in opposition to the solar eclipse, you may need some significant boundaries when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your partnerships. I think you're learning to put up better energetic boundaries and look for more balance and compromise in your one-on-one dynamics. You could be making significant commitments to a partner, a romantic or business partner, over the next 6 months with Saturn being opposite this eclipse. You could be reviewing your commitments to people in your life as well, and they could be tested, is also some way that this could work out. But I think for a lot of you, Virgo, this eclipse is putting the focus primarily on you and who you are, and knowing your own needs and understanding your sense of self and having a good relationship with yourself. And sometimes that means you have to say no to other people. And sometimes that means you have to say no to other people, not because you want to, but because you know you deserve better. That can also be a way that this plays out as well. Your tarot card, Virgo, was the Seven of Cups, which is about many possibilities. So I feel like a lot of you are maybe at the moment, you could be kind of unclear about what way you want to change over the next 6 months. You may have lots of different possibilities of how you want to change over the next 6 months, but at least you have options. Even if you're a bit unclear about what those options are just yet, or you're not entirely sure how this eclipse is unfolding, I feel like it will become clear. I feel as though you will find that these changes that you're making for yourself are positive, especially with Venus being in your sign. I know that Venus is in fallen Virgo, but Venus going through the first house is associated with positive changes physically, being well received as well. I think with Saturn being retrograde in Pisces as well, if you're single, you may have sort of, with it being retrograde, I think you're revisiting what is and is not essential in relationships more generally. That is what I have for you, Virgo, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Libra, welcome to your horoscope for the solar eclipse in Virgo. Libra, this eclipse is happening in your 12th house. So the 12th house is as behind the scenes as you can get in astrology. So a lot of what's happening at this eclipse may be felt internally for you. You might be feeling more inclined to take some time alone, to spend some time in isolation, to retreat. You might be feeling like you need more sleep, or you could be very focused on getting a healthier sleep schedule for yourself, working on some sleep issues. Some of you could also be wanting to work on your subconscious mind with some sort of healer. And you might be really focused on healing at this time, or you might be more interested simply in your spiritual side. You could be feeling more psychic, more intuitive over the next 6 months. You may notice that these are gifts that are developing for you. With the dispositor Mercury being in your sign, this feels very personal. This might be where you're wanting to spend some time alone to get to know yourself. And it's not the 12th house is isolation, but it's not necessarily lonely. This could be that you have this need to retreat and get to know yourself or spend some time with yourself. Maybe the outside world feels very chaotic, Libra, and you just really want to retreat and connect with your spiritual side. You also have Saturn back in your 6th house, so there can be a piling up of work responsibilities, or sometimes Saturn brings difficulties in the workplace, and I think you're needing to balance the job that you do, the services that you provide. You need to balance that with some downtime. And when we have solar eclipses in the 12th house, it can coincide with periods of voluntary or involuntary isolation. But this is a chapter for you, Libra, that you get to know yourself a little bit better. And again, I'm not saying you're going to be lonely. It's just that you're really wanting to connect deeper with yourself, and I think get to know yourself on a subconscious level. So however you get there is individual to you, but I could see a lot of you being interested in shamanism or healing, psychotherapy or EMDR, or something that really helps you get into your subconscious and heal. And eclipses in the 12th house can also be where you begin the chapter of ending something, because the 12th house is about ending. So maybe there's something that you want to let go of. And it's very likely for a lot of you a self-sabotaging behavior or habit that keeps you in places you don't want to be. And this may be inspired because you want better for yourself. So you might be beginning a process of quitting an addiction, or working through a bad habit, or self-sabotaging, most likely with Mercury in your sign. Saturn is in opposition, so having healthy boundaries when it comes to your job is important, and also having healthy boundaries when it comes to the people that you work with, but also revisiting your responsibilities to your job and maybe where you could streamline a few things. I think you could potentially be, Libra, a little bit ruthless at this time, because Mars at the time of this eclipse is at the crisis degree of your sign. So, perhaps you're really needing to cut something out, or you're very determined to cut something out. You're very focused on making a change for yourself. It's very much now or never, and you feel the bravery to do it. But I do think a lot of you could be, with an eclipse in the 12th, really focused on your mental health, your spiritual health, your emotional health, and wanting to maybe bring in some healthier habits and how to take care of that side of you. Your tarot card was the 7 of Pentacles, which is about the long-term view and investments and patience. So this might be something that you're focused on for the long term. This isn't a quick fix for you. You're not feeling impatient necessarily with the results, but I think for a lot of you, you're sort of focusing on the long-term vision of what is best for you. It's also interesting in this card, there is a pregnant lady, so I feel like with the 12th house, it's sometimes where we work on things behind the scenes that other people don't see. So maybe you're committing to something privately for yourself, and you will see very significant results 6 months from now that you'll be willing to debut, but right now you want to keep it to yourself. That's what I have for you, Libra, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your horoscope for this solar eclipse in Virgo. So Scorpio, over the next 6 months, you might find yourself joining new groups, becoming a part of a team, becoming a part of a new community, connecting with like-minded people who share your vision for the future. With this solar eclipse being in your 11th house, but it being a south node eclipse, you might find that if you do become part of a new team or a new group, over the next 6 months, there could at least be one person in that group that you've met before that you know from the past, or it can be that you connect with people who are soul family, people who you feel like you've known before, they feel familiar, and some of them could be soulmate types of friendships. And it can also be that these people are quite spiritual in nature, as the dispositor of this eclipse, Mercury, is in your 12th. So they could be spiritual people. You could become part of healing circles, of joint meditation groups, or something like that. And it could also be that perhaps you're working with a team or a group of people on a project from behind the scenes. This could be something that you're keeping covert. But I do feel for a lot of you, you might be getting involved in new groups, new teams, and new communities. And you're going to have to figure out the boundaries there, because Saturn is in opposition to this new moon, this solar eclipse. So while Saturn is returning to your 5th house, you're sort of revisiting the hard work that you've been doing since 2023 when it comes to parenting, or when it comes to creation, or when it comes to dating. Maybe for some of you, the lessons that you've been learning in that area, it could be a time where you are revisiting those lessons and maybe reaping the karmic rewards for a job well done from Saturn. You know, you may be finding parenting rewarding, and maybe finding that your artistic hard work that you've been putting into your creativity and your art, you could find that that is something that is paying off. I feel with the opposition to Saturn in your 11th house, when it comes to your dreams and your vision for the future, you may be having to put boundaries up, maybe with loved ones, with who you love, who you're dating. Or you may be finding that when it comes to your vision of the future, you're having to be somewhat more realistic about what would make you happy. You know, with Saturn going through the 5th house, you can be quite realistic about what makes you happy. It can sometimes have a dulling effect, but not always. I think with Saturn in opposition to this new moon, your vision of the future is just one that requires practical effort, and one that requires maybe some degree of compromise for you, Scorpio. So I really feel like with this solar eclipse, your ability to connect with very important people in your path, people who are going to help you, people who are going to guide you, not forgetting, you know, the sun rules your goals, and it's a solar eclipse, so you might connect with people who can really help you go where you want to go with your vision, and they likely share your vision as well, Scorpio. Your tarot card is the 7 of Wands, and this is about when you need to make a stand, you don't want to back down, you feel like you have to face something head on. And I think for a lot of you, when it comes to your vision of the future, you really feel like it's not compromisable, and you really want to focus on it. It's something that's very important to you, and you want to stand up for what you feel is right. It actually is striking me too that with this being the 11th house, perhaps it's a cause that you're very much wanting to fight for. Perhaps it's a humanitarian endeavor or a charitable endeavor. You're feeling like you're very motivated by this in particular. That's what I have for you, Scorpio, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Sagittarius, welcome to your horoscope for this solar eclipse in Virgo. So Sagittarius, this is happening in your 10th house, and the 10th house rules your career, it rules your long-term goals, it rules your public life, your professional life, your reputation. So over the next 6 months, a lot of you could be going in a new direction when it comes to your career, when it comes to your profession. This could be that you're going into a new industry, this could be that you're working for a new company, this could be that you're going self-employed. For a lot of you, it feels as though this is a new trajectory based on previously realizing what it is that you want to release. Now, what's interesting about the South Node is that there can be a sense that there's familiarity here. So this can be, if you're changing jobs, going somewhere where you actually already know someone there, someone from your past, or it can be going down a new route career-wise where you've had a past life doing this thing, or you have past life talents that help you pave this new path. With Mercury being in Libra at the time of this eclipse, I think for a lot of you, you could be networking in order to make new moves professionally, connecting with people who can help you, people who help you reach your goals. You might hear from a friend that a job is opening up. You might see on one of your social networking sites that somewhere is hiring. It feels as though social networking, social media could be connecting you to a new career path, or you could be bringing that into your career path or switching to something that is more social media based, internet based, or it simply requires a lot of networking. I could see a lot of you Sagittarius doing networking over the next 6 months and really building important working connections. It feels as though you're striving for balance between the new path that you're going down career wise, the new path that you're going down professionally, and your greater commitments to home and family. And striking a balance could be something that's quite difficult at this time, but not something that you can't do. I feel with Saturn back in your fourth house, you may have important commitments to home, to family, maybe to property matters, and at the same time, you want to branch out professionally or with a goal that is motivating you at this time. You know, the 10th house, it's our purpose, and our purpose isn't always linked up in this lifetime with what we do professionally, but it can be the goal that you feel you really want to achieve. It's your most important goal at this time. And I feel like if you want to reach it, networking, connecting with other people is likely the way to go, Sagittarius. Eclipses in the 10th house do tend to coincide with career changes, but it can also be where, you know, you have an opportunity to step into somebody else's shoes. Say your boss retires and then there's this opening and it's now or never. You know, this eclipse is sort of ushering in this now or never energy for a lot of people, where you may feel like it is time to make some degree of change. And I think with the changes needed, boundaries are required thanks to the opposition to Saturn. But I think if you're feeling the call to go down a new path professionally, this could absolutely be the time in the next 6 months that you build something new for yourself professionally. Sometimes eclipses bring in fated changes with jobs and career when the 10th house is there. Sometimes it's where we just feel like we need to leave, or we feel like we just need to try something new. And I think for you over the next 6 months, a lot of you are likely doing that, or at least restructuring your professional goals. Interestingly, your card for this eclipse was the Page of Pentacles, which is about laying a foundation and setting goals. And you know, it's a studying card. It's a studious card rather. It's a card of studying. It's a card of learning something new. Maybe for some of you, this is something entirely different that's going to require study, or it's going to require you to start at the bottom and work your way up. But eclipses that coincide, eclipses in the 10th house oftentimes do align us with where we're meant to be professionally. So a lot of the time you can trust that if you end up somewhere new, there's a reason, like a greater reason you're there, and there's something very important for you to learn in this lifetime. That is what I have for you, Sagittarius, and I will talk to you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your horoscope for this solar eclipse in Virgo. So Capricorn, this solar eclipse is kicking off a 6-month cycle in your 9th house. And this is about adventure, this is about travel, it's about higher education, your studies, it's about your teachers, your mentors, but it's also about your religious and philosophical beliefs. So you might be traveling around the time of this eclipse, or you might be planning to travel within the next 6 months, and it's likely that if you do, there's an importance to this trip. This could be a time that you go somewhere and maybe you've been there before, maybe you've been there a long time ago, or maybe you've been there in a past life. There's something familiar about the place, and it kickstarts something within you that brings about change. There's a feeling about this place that brings change, and that can sometimes just be that things happen on the trip that are somewhat fated, or it can inspire some sort of change in vision for you. But with the South Node being involved, it's likely this is somewhere where you feel a familiarity as if you've been there in a past life. And for others of you, you could be traveling for work. The dispositor Mercury is in the 10th house of your professional life. So you could be traveling for your career, traveling for your job. The 9th house where this eclipse is happening though is also study and higher education. So some of you could be kicking off this six-month cycle. It's actually very hard to say that. The 6-month cycle that is going to require some significant study. Studying for an exam, studying for a degree, studying for a diploma. And this could be related to your job or to achieve a job, with Mercury being in your professional sector. So for a lot of you, it's looking like studying something that's important to you, getting a higher education at this time, really focusing your energy and your attention on higher education or educational matters in order to enhance your career, or this could be something you're doing through your career, through your job. This can also bring in important new teachers and mentors, especially professionally, Capricorn. You know, there could be a buddy program, a mentor program, or something that sets you up with someone professionally that helps guide you in your career. Maybe they change your perspective. And for a lot of you, this can also be a significant shift for you spiritually. With your whatever it is religion that you believe in or don't believe in, there can be a change in vision. Something in your life could be changing the way that you view the world, changing your philosophy. And I feel like it's something that is pertaining to maybe your career, your public life, your education. It feels as though your shifting viewpoints could be down to your goals changing, or there could be a certain goal that you want to achieve that is spiritual in nature. Whatever the case may be, Capricorn, your ruler Saturn is opposing this solar eclipse, and it's opposing your solar eclipse from the third house. And sometimes when Saturn transits the third house, it can be quite weighty on the mind. You can be quite serious in your thinking nature, and you might be seriously thinking about whatever new chapter is beginning for you here. But it's important to have boundaries with yourself when it comes to the way that you think. You know, sometimes you have to have limits in how you think. And by that I mean, if you are letting your mind spiral into negative thought loops, Saturn can sometimes be this grounding influence that says this isn't constructive, this isn't helpful. And that might be something that you need to achieve a balance between thinking hard about something you need to think hard about and also being negative with the opposition to Saturn coming in from the third. So if you are studying something new, obviously be disciplined about it, but try not to be too hard on yourself. Or if you are traveling somewhere new, try to be organized for it, but also try not to be too anxious about it, I guess. That's the boundaries that you're setting with yourself mentally, Capricorn, essentially. You might also have to put up some boundaries when it comes to siblings, neighbors, that type of thing as well with the third. The tarot card that we have for you is the King of Cups. So I feel like a Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces person, most likely a man, maybe a key figure in this eclipse for you. This person may be important around the time of the eclipse. This could be someone new coming in for you. This could be a teacher, a mentor. This could be a travel agent. This could be someone who is assisting in these ninth house matters. That's what I have for you, Capricorn, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Aquarius, welcome to your horoscope for this solar eclipse in Virgo. Hope you're all doing really well. Aquarius, this solar eclipse is kicking off a 6-month cycle for you, this new chapter when it comes to other people's money and resources. So you may find over the next 6 months that you come into money that you didn't earn from someone else, from some other source, from a person, an organization. It could as well be that you are merging with someone financially. Say you're getting more serious with someone in a relationship, you're merging your finances. It can also be that perhaps something is changing when it comes to your spouse's income, or there can be a new chapter when it comes to taxes, investments, loans, debts, that type of thing. Maybe you're committing to paying those off. I do feel for a lot of you when it comes to your finances, with Saturn going through your second house, you may be a little bit more, with Saturn back in your second house, you may be a bit more serious about money. You might be a bit more frugal. You might want to spend less money. You might find yourself less interested in spending money. And this could be a time where maybe you have saved money and you're paying off something, or you're investing your money somewhere over the next 6 months. And you're really focusing, I think, with Saturn opposite this solar eclipse on security. I think you're looking for security. I don't think you're looking to be flashy. I don't think you're looking to be wildly out there with what you're spending your money on, but you might be investing in something that has long-term potential, investing in something where you can benefit long-term. It has future gains, so to speak, rather than something that will depreciate in value. But yes, there can be new money coming into your life as well over the next 6 months. Money that you didn't earn, money that you receive from another source. That can be a loan, it can be a mortgage, or it can be a gift, whatever the case may be, Aquarius. The dispositor of this solar eclipse is Mercury in your 9th house. So this might be investing in travel, maybe property abroad. It can be investing in your education. It can be investing in perhaps, well, it can also be with the 8th house that you're going through a transformation when it comes to shadow work. the work that you're doing on yourself, and maybe you have a guide or a mentor or a teacher, someone who's helping you navigate, or with Mercury being in Libra, it can be someone you're working on one-on-one with to navigate trauma from the past or to navigate emotional baggage from the past. And this solar eclipse could be the start of working through something, doing some shadow work and transforming yourself from the inside out. Aquarius, that can be another way that this transforms you. The eighth house is the house of death, so there can be something coming to an end at this time, hopefully not a literal death, but it can be that something in your life is coming to a close. We have the Judgment card, and that would sort of emphasize that story, but the eighth house is death and rebirth. And Judgment would be a rebirth card. So this is about letting something go and transforming from it, making changes because of it. You know the way sometimes you look back on difficult times or big changes and they change you quite profoundly. There's actually Robbie Williams is an Aquarius, and I think he recently gave a speech thanking everything about himself. He thanked his ADHD, he thanked his alcoholism, he thanked his social anxiety, because they all got him to where he needed to be. That could be something that you're experiencing. I mean, he is an Aquarius, so it can be that you're sort of reframing your past trauma or past experiences to self-empower and make greater changes for yourself going forward. You know, you're seeing the higher vision maybe on the past or maybe what you've been through, Aquarius, and this is maybe leading you in exciting new directions. That is what I have for you, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi Pisces, welcome to your horoscope for this partial solar eclipse in Virgo. Pisces, this is happening in your 7th house of relationships. So there could be a new chapter occurring for you when it comes to your close connections, your partnerships, and your relationships. For a lot of you, a new person may be entering the picture. A new person may be entering your life. Now, for some of you, this could be romantic. If you're single, this could be a new fated relationship. It's destined, it's karmic in some way because of the eclipses and the nodes. This may be someone who feels familiar. You feel like you've met them before, even if you know you haven't. And that may be because with the South Node, you have a past life with this person. It can also be that you have a past with this person. This can be someone that you've crossed paths with before. You don't have to have been in a relationship with them, but they can be in some way connected to your past, or there's some sort of strange serendipitous connection between the two of you. It could have been a missed connection, so maybe you were in the same place at the same time, but you never met until now, or you connected briefly, you went your separate ways. Whatever the case may be, Pisces, there's something about this that feels serendipitous, and it may have some sort of past connection thanks to the South Node. But this could certainly be someone that you really merge with in an intimate level. A lot of the times, fated connections come in with eclipses in the 7th house. This can also be, if you're looking for a business partnership or you're open to a business partnership, some sort of collaboration with someone professionally. That can be one way that this eclipse plays out as well, the opportunity to collaborate with another person in a professional standpoint. For others of you that are in existing relationships, this can be a new chapter within that relationship. Perhaps you get engaged or get married if things are going well, or you move in together, or you start a family together. For some of you, this can be if a relationship is no longer working, you decide it is time to say farewell, with this being in the final degrees of Virgo. And for others of you, this can be that a new chapter is beginning in your partnership's life that is affecting you. You know, maybe they're changing jobs, or they're having to move, or there's something coming up with their parents, or whatever the case may be, Pisces, and their life may be taking center stage. It may be more about them. Now, Saturn is in your sign, so whatever the case may be, with other people, you have quite strong boundaries now. And I think with Mercury, the dispositor of this eclipse, being in the 8th house, you've probably done some shadow work, and you're probably looking for someone that isn't part of a pattern. You're probably looking for someone that complements the healing work that you've done and the boundaries that you have in place now. You know, it's not about keeping people at a distance. It's just about having healthy boundaries in relationships and not compromising your sense of self for another person. Because a person that comes into your life at this time, Pisces, you may very much have a deep, meaningful connection where you can really merge with that person. And that would be so much better if you have a very strong sense of self and you know your boundaries. So your tarot card for this eclipse, Pisces, is the Knight of Wands. So if someone new enters your life at this time, this may very well be someone who is traveling, or they're from a different country, or you travel together, or you meet while you're traveling, or someone who's quite adventurous. This can also be someone who is a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising. So an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising person. And it could also be that with Mars getting ready to go into your ninth house, you're feeling the call to adventure. You're feeling the call to travel and the call for some excitement. That's what I have for you, Pisces, and I will talk to you soon.